Hello everyone, welcome back to Jikook Diaries channel. That day, the sky above Los Angeles looked bright, as if it was a silent witness to a moment that will continue to be remembered in the history of BTS fandom, especially by Jikookers. Among the crowds passing by, two young men walked side by side calmly, casually, and full of warm intimacy. But then, that second happened. Jungkook, without hesitation and without worry, put his arms around Jimin's waist, pulled him closer, hugged him like someone who didn't want to lose the person he loved. Only for a moment, but enough to stop the ARMY world. The short video, which lasted a few seconds, was widely spread on the X platform, formerly Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. In less than an hour, the hashtags #JikookUSA, #Jimin Jungkook together, and #Jungkook hugging Jimin immediately shot up to the ranks of world trending topics. Fans, especially Jikookers, cried, laughed, fell silent, and shook for one reason. They witnessed an unspoken but real love that finally came to the surface. The hug was not just an ordinary hug. For many people, it might just look like two close friends. But for those who have kept every interaction, look in the eyes, small smiles, and warmth between these two people, it was more than enough to realize that there was something deeper, something that had developed over the years. Jimin looked relaxed, even happy. His smile appeared so naturally, like a flower blooming because spring had arrived. There was no awkwardness. There was no pretense. It was as if his body was used to the hug. As if the hug was a home that he had known for a long time. And from the way Jungkook hugged him tightly but gently, it was not just a hug between friends. It was the hug of someone who cared, who wanted to protect, and maybe love. It is no secret that the relationship between Jimin and Jungkook has always been in the spotlight. Since their debut until now, they have grown together. From awkward teenagers to grown men who have now gone through all the joys and sorrows together. They've supported each other backstage, cheered each other on during performances, and looked so comfortable in every private moment they managed to capture. But this moment in the US felt more honest, bolder, more intimate, and more real than ever. Some fans wrote on social media, "It wasn't just a hug, it was a statement." Many believe the two finally felt safe enough to let the world see a part of their relationship that had been hidden behind the spotlight. They may not have said it with words, but their actions spoke volumes. And of course, the moment also divided public opinion. Some thought it was just a normal interaction between close friends. But for those who have followed Jikook's story with sincerity, who love them not just as idols but as human beings worthy of love and happiness, it was a validation of all the feelings and beliefs they've carried with them all along. Whatever it is, one thing is for sure, love in any form is worth celebrating. Jimin and Jungkook have become symbols of warmth, emotional closeness, and unconditional support. They showed the world that love can exist without labels, that togetherness can wrap up the wounds and fatigue of life that are not visible behind the stage smiles. That in a world full of demands and pressures, having someone who makes you feel like you're coming home is everything. And for the fans who witnessed that moment, it felt like witnessing the end of a love story that had been written in silence for a long time and finally was read by the world. And like a tide that could not be stopped, reactions from ARMY and Jikookers flooded the internet. On various platforms, they poured out their emotions, happiness, and emotion for that short but meaningful moment. I don't know why, but that hug made me cry. Not because I was sad, but because I was happy. As if they were finally not hiding anymore, wrote one fan on TikTok, while including a slow-motion edited video of the moment with a BTS ballad in the background. On Twitter, a fan wrote, "Jungkook hugged Jimin like someone who had waited years to be able to show his love in public. I'm still shaking." Other comments even touched the inner side of veteran Jikookers who have followed the dynamics of their relationship for years. "We watched them since they were teenagers, when Jungkook didn't know how to express himself and Jimin always gave in for the sake of being together. Now, we see this hug and somehow, it feels like a small victory for the love they've kept in silence." From here, emerged various theories from Jikook's fanbase, who tried to connect this moment with various pieces of the past. Some said that this was not a coincidence but rather a soft launch phase of their relationship. There were also those who interpreted the hug as Jungkook's protective gesture towards Jimin, especially after recent news about public pressure and the burdens felt by BTS members individually. Not a few also linked this moment to certain songs they sang, especially lyrics that were once considered ambiguous. For example, many are now reviewing Jungkook's song, Still With You, and parts of Jimin's Promise, as if the two were talking about each other all this time. However, behind all the theories and analyses, one thing remains the same. The love felt real. And in a world that is often cruel to different loves, moments like this are a reminder that love does not need to be explained. It just needs to be felt. That expressions of affection, no matter how small, have the power to heal, touch, and unite. Imagine how difficult their journey has been. Living in the spotlight, every move is judged, every look is questioned, and every closeness must always be clarified. But that day, on the streets of America, they chose to walk together without moving away when the camera was looking, without avoiding when fans were filming, without pretending to keep their distance. They were present as two humans who were finally brave enough to be honest with themselves. Maybe this is not a confession. Maybe this is not a definition of anything. But for thousands, even millions of hearts who believe in true love, this is the answer. And for you who are watching this video now, whether you are a true Jikooker, an ARMY who loves BTS in all its forms, or just someone who believes that love is beautiful, remember one thing: true love does not always scream loudly. Sometimes, it is just a soft hug around the waist of the person you love, in the midst of a world that does not always understand. Jimin and Jungkook have given us more than just music and entertainment. They gave us a story of loyalty, of togetherness, and of love that endures time and pressure. Today, they add another chapter to that story. A chapter that will probably always be remembered as the moment where love is no longer hidden. Thank you for being with us in Jikook Diaries, a place where every heartbeat, every hug, and every little whisper between Jimin and Jungkook becomes a story that lives in our hearts. If you also feel the warmth of that moment, don't forget to leave a comment below what you felt when you saw Jungkook hug Jimin. Was this their bravest moment? Or just one of many romantic chapters that have not been finished being written? Click like, subscribe, and turn on the bell, because this story is far from over. And remember, love doesn't have to be explained. It just has to be felt and celebrated. See you in the next episode, where this love story will continue to live with us. Purple Heart.